As we bring you ball-by-ball commentaries of the T20 World Cup. The Cut and Drive Network, in association with this radio station, are pleased to be a part of the excitement. Join me, Andrew Mason, as I lead a team of top-class cricket commentators right through to the finals on June the 29th at the historic Kensington Oval. Cricket, lovely cricket, on this radio station. You got a date, so don't be late.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of. Well, focus. I want to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath. In a different way, choose peace and love instead of all bloodshed. Leave and leave. You see the violence thing.
Make the change.
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 Make a change.
Make the change.
Make the change.
End the gun violence now.
Just please give life a chance. Let's stop the violence. Oh.
Let me say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Those of you also viewing via GBN TV, whether Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20. Good morning to you. Welcome to this edition of To The Point. Today being Wednesday is the 19th day of June. June 19. Yeah, say Juneteenth, as some folks prefer it lately. Let me say good morning to those of you who are listening and viewing also via our social media platforms. Good morning. Welcome. It's a day of the week that we do entertain various departments in government, and representatives of government do popping on the show, and we do get into various conversation with them. This morning we have representing Mr. Aaron Moses. He's the ambassador for CARICOM, and our focus this morning will be on, the CARICOM meeting that was held, that will be held, I should say, on the 3rd and the 3rd to 5th of July, and we'll get into that conversation. Let's go over and say good morning to Mr. Moses. Good morning to you, sir. I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm not getting that audio feed from you, sir, for some reason or the other. Good morning once again.
Unmute again.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear, and I'm assuming you're hearing me okay.
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, good. How are you this morning once again?
I am great.
And let me welcome you back to the program this morning, and it's a pleasure to have you back with us this morning. Our conversation this morning will be based on, of course, we'll focus a wee bit on the CARICOM meeting that will be held in Grenada. That's coming up for you on the 3rd and 5th of July, where the Prime Minister, yes, the Honourable Deacon Mitchell, he will receive the chairmanship responsible for CARICOM. Now, tell me, how many times has Grenada held, the chairmanship for CARICOM? And have the Grenadian leader held the position before? Has it? Tell me. Grenadian leaders,
yes,
I should
certainly.
say.
I can't recall exactly how many times, but the leadership of the movement rotates alphabetically. Each leader serves for a 6-month period. In close collaboration with his colleagues. So essentially at the leadership level, it's an 18-month tenure. So like the incoming leader will collaborate with the current leader. and he will remain after the 6 months as a sort of mini cabinet, providing advice and continuity. So it's really an 18-month commitment, but essentially each leader serves for a 6-month duration.
All right.
So certainly Grenada has done so on previous occasions, but I can't recall to say it's 5, 6, 10, you know.
Okay. Tell me, how is one appointed to be a chairman?
It rotates. As you know, CARICOM has 15 members and 5 associate members. So among the 15, it rotates alphabetically. So Guyana is the current chair and is handing over to Grenada. Previous to Guyana, you had Dominica. So it's alphabetical.
All right. Now, what is the significance of this particular appointment?
Well, it resides in your appreciation and understanding of the role of CARICOM, which we can talk about. But CARICOM, as you know, is the Caribbean Community and Common Market, which is the oldest regional grouping integration movement in the developing world. And its significance is etched in history, an appreciation of where the Caribbean with a common history came from, and the inevitability of having to survive on your own post-colonialism, post-emancipation, and looking at the various options. If you recall, the early leaders, when they're examining what are the prospects, the future prospects for the development, sustainable development of the Caribbean region, they felt early on that we should form a political union. And you had the Federation in 1958 that did not last very long. In 4 years, we saw its demise. But what was driving that was the understanding of the common history, similar countries, small island developing states with similar challenges, limited resources, significant vulnerabilities, economic, social, climate, etc. They felt that the best prospects for survival was to collaborate with each other, given our commonalities. And so they pursued that political union that failed in 1962, committed as they were with a vision of ensuring that we cooperate and collaborate closely together. Led by Antigua, Trinidad, Barbados, you had the formation of CARIFCA in 1968, which was a free trade area, where it was felt that if we trade among ourselves, we can maximize potential benefits. And that small experiment yielded significant returns. The volume of trade increased significantly between the islands. And so a few years later, you had 9 other Caribbean countries joining that CARIFCA movement. So the success of that CARIFCA movement sort of consolidated in the minds of the leaders at the time that there were tremendous benefits to be had from collaboration. At the same time, there were some shortcomings. And to treat with the shortcomings, they deepened that collaboration with the formation of what you call a customs union, which is the CARICOM formation in 1973, where you, in addition to free movement, you remove some of the fetters that mitigated against successful trade. And so you had the main structure that was introduced was the common external tariff vis-a-vis third-party countries, to again ensure that more benefits accrue within the region. So as you would have been aware, we celebrated 50 years of CARICOM last year, and that celebration ends with this meeting to be held in a matter of weeks from the 3rd to the 5th of July. So we had CARICOM being established and functioning for a while, but again there were limitations, and we can talk about some of those limitations. But the heads early on, understanding the importance of deepening the regional collaboration process. In 2021, here in Grenada, known as the Declaration of Grandlands, they committed to the single market and economy, which is a much deeper form of integration process, where you're talking now about ensuring not only the free movement of goods and services, the free movement of labor, capital, ensuring that the process is deepened, moving towards a tighter collaboration process known as a common market. And so we are still moving towards that goal, and hence the reason why to manage the process, as you know, CARICOM has a number of structures in place, and one of those structures ensure implementation, treating with one of the main challenges, what is known as implementation deficit, where people have agreed that so many decisions have been taken and the pace of implementation is slow. So to manage and monitor that, you had the leadership being rotated every 6 months. In addition to that, to ensure that the organs function, there is what we call a quasi-cabinet, where every leader among the 15 countries allocated a particular sector that they can lead on. So you can drive progress, you can ensure there's accountability. So for instance, Grenada is leading on ICT, Guyana is leading on agriculture. So, so that the 6-month changing leadership is certainly designed to ensure that no one individual is overloaded, to ensure that each leader can actively participate, and the workload in terms of leadership and responsibility is shared across the region. Okay. And so that is why we have 2 annual meetings, and during that process we have changed the leadership.
All right. Mr. Moses, you also spoke in relations to the benefits, and you also spoke to, of course, the challenges of CARICOM. Could you speak on that for a wee bit, in terms of the benefits that a small island as Grenada is benefiting from CARICOM, if we are not benefiting at all, and also the challenges that CARICOM, of course, the small islands are of course facing?
Well, there are significant limitations with size. Our resource base is small. Our productive capacity is limited. So we function in what we call open economies, where we import most of our food. We import our technology. Capital comes from outside. So what happens in the outside world, the developed world, have significant impacts on what we do. In addition to that, there are other vulnerabilities. The major one, as you know, which we have to contend with every year, is climate change, of which we are in a hurricane zone, and we know what can happen, right? And every year we are on our P's and Q's, and we're praying very hard that it's not our turn. So there are a number of shortcomings, vulnerabilities: technology, production capacity, like I said, capital, foreign direct investment, all those things. So given those limitations, given our common history, the rationale for collaboration is very strong. If we can collaborate and we have a common market, this provides tremendous opportunity. So our boundaries are not limited to 100,000 people in Grenada. So if we have a common market, we're talking a few million. You understand? So essentially, there are tremendous benefits to collaborate. Look at the cost of running governments. One of the successes of CARICOM, and there are 4 main pillars on which CARICOM is currently based. One is the integration process, where we are pursuing a number of initiatives and activities that are designed to ensure that our economies are more integrally and more deeply linked together. Then we have functional cooperation, where we collaborate and pool our resources to pursue specific activities in education, in tourism, etc. So functional cooperation, that has led to the formation of a number of regional institutions, over 2025, that has served us significantly. You look at CXC, the examinations that replace or O levels at the time. Could you imagine each country trying to have their own educational system and the challenge of getting acceptance internationally, varying standards in each island? So we have CXC, we have the CCJ, we have the Caribbean Development Bank, we have UWI, we have SIDERA, whose role is extremely important, particularly at this point in time, with impending disasters. So we have, so there are over 20 such institutions that serve the region as a whole. Could you imagine if each island had to treat with those things? We have CrossQ that treats with standards. So there are tremendous benefits from collaboration. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Okay.
So every island benefits significantly from that collaboration. The other important pillar of the integration movement is security. Look at the challenges we're having now. We are spread over significant thousands of miles of waters. Our borders are porous. It's difficult to manage all the beaches, all the coves and inlets. We sit between the source and the consumer of drugs. And we see what is happening now. So there are tremendous collaboration at the regional security level that no island on its own could effectively treat with. We have common foreign policy, engaging the rest of the world. If each island had to engage in that particular activity, it becomes more expensive. In addition to that, there are tremendous power in collaboration. The leverage that CARICOM can bring to the international community and how it's treated is significant. There are a number of initiatives all over the world. People are looking to build relationships across the world. We have international organizations like the IMF, the World Bank, the UN. And when decisions are made, 15 votes are significant. And we've seen recently in particular, the rest of the world are all intent on building closer relationship with CARICOM, because here you have 15 votes. So if you want to occupy a particular position at the UN, or you want to get particular policy initiative passed and you need support, you look for where votes can come from.
All right.
So that collaboration has placed us in a very important position where we can wield our strength and leverage that unity to achieve the goals and the protection of the interests of the Caribbean region.
All right.
So that is extremely important to us. And those things would not be achievable if we were not collaborating and pulling our resources together, speaking on one voice on international issues, attempting to ensure there is a significant commonality of interests and ideas. So these are the potential benefits of CARICOM.
All right. If I could ask you once again, Mr. Musa, because I know you could say a whole lot in terms of the benefits and of course but if I could, did you speak a while ago about the free movement? What's the latest on the free movements within the region? If I could ask you this question.
Okay, you would appreciate, and again, we have not said it before, we have CARICOM, which is 15 countries and 5 associate members. But within CARICOM, we have a subgrouping known as the OECS, of which we are a member. And again, historically, we may not have time to go how that came about. But the Leeward, formerly what is known as the Windwards and Leeward Islands, we are smaller than the other bigger territories like Trinidad, Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica. So our challenges are unique and slightly different to them. So if you look at within the CARICOM trading regimes, etc., there are some concessions that the smaller territories enjoy to ensure there is equality and parity. And so we have found it necessary to collaborate within the small groupings. And the OECS has achieved tremendous progress relative to CARICOM in terms of movement towards that goal of having a single market and economy. So within the OECS, for instance, there's free movement of people right now. any national of OECS can move freely throughout the OECS with just an ID. I don't know if you have tried it, but you don't need a passport to go to St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Dominica, Antigua, Montserrat, etc. Additionally, we have a common currency that doesn't exist in the wider Caribbean. We have a common central bank. So a monetary policy is harmonized. And those elements are important and significant characteristics of a functioning common market. That has not yet been achieved at the wider CARICOM level. At the last heads of government meeting, the heads mandated that the wider CARICOM countries should move expeditiously towards, the free movement, unfettered free movement of persons within Caribbean. So as you know, currently, within the CARICOM system, there is free movement of labor for specified categories of workers. It's 10 and those extended to 12, where you can go to a Caribbean territory, be able to stay free for 6 months before you through the process of getting a CARICOM certificate for those listed skills that are allowed freely. That process want to be deepened, and that's why the heads took the decision. So they're moving to what the OECS has already achieved. So that's a major goal, and we expect decisions to be taken in a matter of weeks on that process. So they mandated all the various committees to work assiduously to ensure that that can happen and they can take a decision. So that would mean that people from all the CARICOM countries should be able to move freely throughout the region, should not be discriminated against in terms of jobs, in terms of access to basic services. And one of the issues that have delayed that movement is the whole question of what is defined as contingent rights. So you move with your family. What are the services and rights that your kids and your wife, who are an external party, not a national of the region, would enjoy? And so those are decisions that hopefully will be addressed at that meeting. So at the end of the day, if positive decisions are taken, what obtains in the OECS should similarly obtain in the wider CARICOM region, where you can move freely, a right to work freely, movement of your capital without any fetters, and some of the fetters remain. So for instance, there's still a number of countries where to purchase land, you have to get alien land holdings license. So if you're talking of a common market, those things have to be removed. It takes some time. The laws have to be changed. Your family, if you move to St. Lucia or Trinidad, your kids should have access to basic education. There are issues, for instance, that we know tertiary education is expensive. So some countries may not be able to pay for some persons to go to university. So you may expect, or we can expect, there may be some limitations on that. So one of the challenges and the goals was to agree on some basic fundamental rights that every CARICOM citizen, as they move from island to island, will be entitled to. A few things you may not be entitled to. And that is where some of the discussions and I don't want to use the word contention, but, we have not achieved full agreement. That is reporting from participating in some of the committee meetings. Because some countries may not have the resources. For instance, a case in point, dialysis is a very expensive, I'm just choosing that one from my head, a very expensive service to provide. Most countries in Grenada, people are struggling. I'm told that you should be dialyzing 3 times a week. Some people can only afford it twice. So could you imagine, say, a few persons move to Grenada requiring dialysis treatment? That will pose a tremendous burden on Grenada's resources to treat effectively with that. So that could be a potential this is not something that has come up, right? Just being part of the process. I'm trying to explain, use an example that people can relate to.
Okay. All right. Mr. Moses, I may have to ask you, sir, I may have to ask you to put a cap just for a wee bit. We drew for a break. We have to take, we should have taken at least 10 minutes ago. We come back, we get some final questions, and we get to wrap before this one. We just have one more segment with you this morning. Let's take that short break, folks. We will be right back. Stay with us here on To The Point.
Here's an assignment for you super sleuths, should you choose to accept. Every single-use plastic thrown into the environment has a fingerprint on it. Who does it belong to? That plastic bottle or food container was imported and distributed to warehouses, supermarkets, shops, food trucks, school canteens, vendor trays, and eventually made its way to us. So how did it get buried in the environment? Whose fingerprint is on this? Since several laws, including international agreements, prohibit polluting, hold on to that plastic bottle or food container until you get to a bin and dispose of it properly. Separate plastic waste for transport to a facility that reuses, repurposes, or recycles. It's the responsible thing to do.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of. Well, focus.
Cricket, lovely cricket, as we bring you ball by ball commentaries of the T20 World Cup. The Cut and Drive Network, in association with this radio station, are pleased to be a part of the excitement. Join me, Andrew Mason, as I lead a team of top-class cricket commentators right through to the finals on June the 29th at the historic Kensington Oval. Cricket, lovely cricket, on this radio station. You got a date, so don't be late.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of. Well, focus.
Coming up, it's a summer of style as top designers and their creations hit the catwalk with a Caribbean twist. The World Cup has rolled into town with on-field excitement and beyond-the-boundary thrills in Trinidad and Tobago. Getting married? Honeymooning? Barbados is your top option for an eventful experience. It's Caribbean Passport, right here on this station.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. Let me say welcome back, Mr. Aaron Moses with us this morning. He's the Grenada's CARICOM ambassador. Mr. Moses, welcome back. Another question I would like to ask, I'm assuming it's for the benefit for our listeners of you. What is the cost of staging a meeting in Grenada and of that nature? What is the cost? And who's actually going to be paying for that, if I could ask a question of that nature?
Well, the model is generally the host country covers the significant portion of the cost. We are expecting somewhere in the vicinity of 200 persons into Grenada. As you know, we have 20 countries that will be represented at varying levels. The size of the delegations are a function of, the interest and the capacity of the various countries that attend. In addition, and CARICOM was, I say, at this particular juncture of its history, is a very significant grouping. And we have had a development over the last 5 years that has heightened, where a number of other regional countries want to join this regional movement. So you'll have a number of countries attending to understand, to engage, to entreat with CARICOM, examining possibilities. In addition to that, the international community is always represented. And as I said, given our strength and pivotal role by virtue of our numbers, a number of other countries also pay a lot of attention to CARICOM. So that 200 will include countries from all over the world who will be sending representatives at varying levels to the region. The Grenada is responsible, and the host is responsible for the provision of the venues. In the case of CARICOM, Grenada, for instance, will be paying for the heads, the accommodation of the heads, and other key persons, but the country itself will cover the cost of the rest of the delegation in terms of the hotels and whatnot. But we will be hosting and providing transportation, taking care of the meeting cost and those things. So it's a shared cost, but every country that hosts will be carrying the sizable part of the budget.
All right, great. So if I could ask this question, I'm doing this for the benefit of the listeners and viewers. What really is your duties as the CARICOM ambassador? What really are your duties?
Well, all goals are similar, and at its core, it's about the protecting the interests and the assets of your nation, and that involves going out there, articulating your policies, negotiations, discussions, effective representation, doing research on the issues, having the capacity and knowledge to understand the various rules, the treaties, how do you do things, or what are the possibilities, protecting the interests of, say, Grenadian business, because trade is a very important component within the region. So it's a multiplicity of activities that you have to engage in, but at its core is the protection, preservation of the national interest. So it involves networking, interfacing with other parties, meeting, making presentations. So it's quite varied, but at its core is seeking Grenada's interest and totality of interest. So you're talking about your development interest, economic interest, social interest, everything to do with ensuring and preserving the goals and aspirations of the Grenadian people.
All right. So since taking up the ambassadorship of this for Grenada as CARICOM ambassador, what are some of the achievements, I may ask, thus far for you?
Well, there's a difference. One, the ambassador to CARICOM is resident in Grenada. Yeah. So it's not like other ambassadors where you have to reside out there. So the benefits, it is difficult to quantify, but effective representation, it's very difficult to put a cost on that. Being able to speak at the forums to put Grenada's points of view, protects Grenada's interests, so it's difficult to measure those things. But the impact is really felt as how effective you are in furthering the interests of your country and ensuring you dispense with your various duties professionally and with the necessary impact that is desired.
All right. Before we get some closing comments from you, I would like to ask, what does the future look for us? What does the future look like for us?
Well, the future is bright and challenging. It's bright if we do what is required. We live in a very dynamic and changing world where geopolitical interest predominates. We see a challenging world economically. World riddled with wars and rumors of wars, and it's a very difficult period. You have the climate change challenge, where we are the least polluters, but we suffer more than the people who pollute. How do you engage? How do you protect your interests? So it is a very difficult period, but we have to survive. We have to build a capacity to engage. We have to be resilient. We have to look more inward, and that's what I think there's a renewed fervor within the CARICOM movement, that an appreciation that we need to collaborate together and to utilize our resources, because the world is not necessarily a friendly place all the time, where you have intense competition for power and seeking interests for domination, for control of resources, etc. So you have to be on your P's and Q's, you have to be visionary, you have to be able to carve out your niche. What are your possibilities? What should you focus on? Because we don't have all the resources to do everything that is possible. So you have to constantly engage, you have to see the world as opportunities, and to build mutually beneficial interests wherever it's possible. So you have to make new friends. You have to maintain your independence, and ensure that you can read the play, if I can use a local term. So it requires a lot of skill. It requires a lot of engagement, a lot of energy. You have to be active. you cannot rest on your laurels. So it's a tremendous responsibility, but we can survive if we can carve out the niche, maximizing what are our strengths, what are our benefits, and what we should focus on.
All right, great.
And to pursue that with all our energies.
All right. But suppose any closing comment before we take a wrap for this morning? I do have another guest coming around.
Well, I think it's a tremendous opportunity to once again host the regional movement, and I think all Grenada should embrace this opportunity. It's essentially a lot of meetings, so, with the exception of the opening ceremony, which will be carried live, the opening ceremony will be held at Chatter Hall, the SGU. The meetings will be primarily at the Grand Conference Center at the hotel. Our guests will be staying in a number of hotels, so it's a very important function for us. So I think all Grenadians need to be paying attention, because if we didn't have time to talk about limitations, but I think one of the limitations of the movement so far has been the lack of effective communication and taking the populations along, where every kid, every citizen of the CARICOM region should have an understanding of the importance of the movement and what the implications for being part of CARICOM, what is the future without CARICOM, and what are the benefits. So I think it's an opportunity for you in the media, for instance, to begin to educate and prepare the public, remind them of the importance of CARICOM, or why we are members of CARICOM, its importance, and why we should continue to treat it significantly.
All right. But Aaron Moses, I want to thank you once again for being on the program this morning. Certainly appreciate of course, the information you shared with us this morning, and the listening and viewing public. I'm sure they have absorbed a whole lot. Thank you once again, sir, and best wishes goes out to you for the rest of the day.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, and all the best.
All right. Hey, folks, we're going to take a break in this segment. When we come back, folks, we have my second guest coming up. Certainly we'll introduce him when we get into the next segment.
Are you a young man aged 17 to 35 looking to build a successful career? Glen presents an exceptional opportunity with its Rural Youth Training and Entrepreneur Program, RITEP, specializing in small engine repair. This program equips you with valuable skills in a high-demand industry. Don't miss out. Reach out to Glen today at 444-8430 or visit us at Lower Defridin Street. Kickstart your career and create a brighter tomorrow with Glen RITEP. Enroll now and pave your way to success. Classes begin at the end of June. Should you need any additional information, feel free to contact us on 444-8430 or email grenco86@gmail.com.
Spend $50 or more at any Hubbard's department or participating outlets for a chance to win free fuel, free drinks, free prizes, free property and vehicle insurance, free Hub TV and internet, free electricity, free coke, free water, free cooking gas, free paint supplies, free Dutch Lady milk, free passes to Sunshine promotion events for 2024, free groceries, all for one whole year, and every winner receives a free lunch package. But that's not all. Drive away in style in a brand new Isuzu D-Max. It sips, it doesn't guzzle. So fill out your entries and place them into the marked entry boxes. This promotion is brought to you in part by Dutch Lady, Danny, Promo, Supreme Bleach, Creative Chef, Glen, Floor, Salt Petroleum, Grenadian General Insurance Company Limited, Coca-Cola, Sunshine Promotion, Caribberies, Coop Bag, Sesame Spain, and Food Fear. Promotion runs from April 2nd to December 24. Terms and conditions apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for Grenada to laugh again. Heritage Theatre presents Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024. Saturday, June 22nd and Sunday, 23rd June at the Trade Center in Grandance. And on Sunday, 30th June at the Deluxe Cinema in Grenville. Showtime, 7 p.m. every time. Featuring some of Grenada's best ambassadors of comedy. Robert White.
I will line up behind the yellow for 9 elections straight. I change color in time to lose the last election. Why? Because I'm always on the losing side.
Dillion Walters.
It's the McQueen I couldn't take. I don't tell them all you didn't know.
Kareem Alexis and other outstanding comedic performances, all coming to knock you off your seats with laughter. Get your tickets now. Bring out the entire family. Tickets are $60. It's time for Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024.
The place go.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point for today, Wednesday, the 19th of June. Welcome inside the second half of the show this morning. Let me say good morning to my guest. I got to give him that instant introduction this morning because, of course, for time, but we won't have to go into a little bit of extra time this morning. Let me say good morning to Mr. Learrie Barry. He's the General Secretary of the National Democratic Caucus. Mr. Barry, good morning to you and welcome.
Well, good morning to you, GT. Good morning to your viewers and listeners. Of course, a pleasure as usual to be engaging the public through GBN.
All right. Welcome to once again. So, of course, the last time you were on with me, you did promise to be back, and happy to have you back. Happy to have you back.
Yes, indeed, I did promise. In fact, I still have to come back on the business of party development, the party organization, and the role of party in the development of country. The importance of structures of the party, the National Executive Council, the General Council, the convention, and the fact that conventions are the conduit for the delivery of new prime ministers and new leaders of a country. So we're going to come back to that on another occasion.
All right.
Because we are at a great milestone with the kinds of achievements that we are celebrating with the public. We have turned 2 in government.
All right.
NDC turns 2.
All right.
And we have a remarkable story to tell of achievements, which we will present this morning as our 3D in delivery. 3Ds. We've delivered on our manifesto commitments. We've delivered the unfinished, and we are delivering the unfinished business of the last administration, and we are delivering on emerging issues, emerging opportunities, emerging trends, emerging projects and programs. 3 Ds, or 3 dimensions of a delivery in 24 months.
All right.
It's a great occasion for us, and that's why we're celebrating with coming back to the people, as opposed to when our first year anniversary came around, GT, we had motorcades, we had rallies, we had, the grand regalia associated with our first year of a government. But we've settled, we've capitalized on the opportunities that the Grenadian people have given us, and we are reporting to them through 4 town halls, 2 of which have been successfully delivered, with lots of questions coming out of Grenville, with a whole swath of opportunities for us to continue to work with our people to deliver those 3 aspects, 3 dimensions of the delivery I've just indicated. It is unusual that in 2 years a government can report on its manifesto commitments. We have 16 manifesto commitments we've made in our manifesto, and the highlights are on page 10 and 11 of the manifesto. It would have been nice for us to be able to share this.
Well, we certainly will share on that in a.
But I want to go through.
Before you continue, sir. Before you continue, we will certainly get into the manifesto and stuff like that. Time will permit for us to do so. You spoke about the town hall meetings and stuff that's been taking place, and you spoke about the success of them. Tell us for the benefit of the listeners of yours, how have these meetings been going so far? How have these meetings been going?
Very probing, with a lot of celebration of the people who have participated, celebrating our achievements, celebrating the commitments that we have upheld. That is important. A 2-year administration could go back to the people, and so many persons are celebrating our achievements. I mean, the signature was the closing comments at the Grenville Town Hall. The signature achievements that we were able to hear from the people themselves. I think the best expression of that came out of St. Andrew's Town Hall. But of course, the Town Hall in St. Patrick's was also a huge success. There are always dynamics in different aspects of the country. Right. So on the west, since that Town Hall had focused on the Western Corridor, St. John, St. Mark, St. Patrick's East-West, the Eastern Corridor, the four constituencies of St. Andrews, and of course we go to the Southern Corridor next Monday, and tonight we're on the sister isle of Carriacou and Petit Martinique with our town hall there. So you find the dynamics in terms of what has been achieved, in terms of the local politics, in terms of the constituency achievements, and how the national achievements impact locally. Yeah, you find the nature of those are expressed in various ways. So you find, of course, on the west, some of the challenges we know historically have been infrastructure challenges, roads, drains, landslips, and some of the impacts on climate always seem to take more decisive impact, have a more decisive impact on the West. So there's still going to be our response to the unfinished business of managing the fallout from the breakwater project, for example, while the initial impact has been to protect the buildings in the tongue of Sautez, the downstream impacts on Darby and so on have been quite significant and devastating for, if you recall, the relocation of families and so on.
If I'm to also ask you this, sir, what is the objective of these meetings? What are the objective of these meetings?
To report to the public. To report to the public.
Yes.
Primary objective and secondary objective is to maintain our commitment to the public. We say we're going to do town halls. We launch our campaign in a town hall in St. Mark. We launch our campaign, not necessarily launch a campaign, but a significant impetus for the NDC's campaign leading up to the June 22, 2022 elections was a town hall in St. Mark. And we gave a commitment to the people that we'll return for the term, for this entire 60 months. We'll be coming back to you. Some of our efforts are at the community level. So, I mean, we've had constituency town halls, we have had polling division town halls, whether it's in Budge Grove or other aspects of the country. For example, St. George's Northwest. St. George's Northwest have consistently held town halls, GT. Consistently held town halls with 200 and 300 people in attendance. Consistently in St. George's Northwest. So you've had a constituency level town hall, you've had polling division level or village level town halls, and then of course you have had these regional, national town halls. That's a hallmark, a signature. We're actually going to be having a diaspora town hall. We incorporated a diaspora town hall in this 2-year celebration. So our objective, the objective of the town hall, we must report. We must come and face UGT. We must face every citizen who attends or online and ask us the questions. You've said you're going to pay pension. Did you pay pension? Are you still paying gratuity? Is the pension safe for persons who are under the Constitution? And are we going to provide pension for persons who have been languishing for 18 and 20 years in the public service with contracts that they don't even pay the NIS? What are you doing about that? So we come to the town hall and we tell you what we're doing about it.
All right, great. So let me also ask you this. I mean, it's in a matter of days we would be, of course, the government, the National Democratic Caucus, who's of course the ruling administration right now. What is your rating of the administration's, performance thus far for the 2 years they've been in office?
So you give me the metric and I'll give you the rating.
No,
1 out of 5, 1 out of 7, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100.
I'm not going to give you the metric. I want you just give me in terms of your feelings of the administration's performance thus far.
Remarkable.
Yes.
In one word. Remarkable. And that is why I started GT by saying to the public, saying to the country, we are delivering 3 dimensions. It is unusual for a 2-year-old administration with ministers of government with no prior experience in a cabinet, save and except for Delma Thomas, Honorable MP for St. Andrews Northwest, who served in a previous cabinet and who joined the cabinet in January this year. But if you look at our achievements, it is the delivery by a Prime Minister and a team that is consistent with honoring our manifesto commitment. It is consistent learning of the public service and delivering, notwithstanding the navigation that had to take place. The learning. So people like me who worked in the public service for about 18 years, and the likes of Adrian Persuader Thomas and David Andrew and Lennox Andrew and so on, Gloria Thomas, all of whom have served for 25, 30 years in the public service. They're bringing the politics to the public service, and having had the history of serving in the public service would have helped in terms of understanding and navigating the public service. But it wasn't easy to serve in an environment where 23 years that NNP shaped it and molded the public service with very devastating impacts of their policies, such as the attrition policy. We're going to speak about it the next time, GT.
Yes.
But we inherited a public service that came out of an NNP-led attrition policy. The impact of an attrition policy, where the policy that NNP introduced was that they're going to replace every 10 public officers on the permanent establishment that retired, they're going to replace them with 3. The devastating effect of that has been seen and is felt today across the public service, in the Ministry of Agriculture in particular. Out of 12 departments in that ministry, we inherited 9 departments with no head. In fact, worse, a department like the ministry, like the Department of Fisheries, GT and Grenadians, that department with millions of dollars in grants and loans for a range of marine and blue economy opportunities for Grenada. So a staff of 2. When we inherited the ministry, that department had a staff of 2. They had no marine biologists. We had to bring back on contract former employees there. Yet we navigated that environment. And that is why, GT, I know we're going to have a lot to engage in over time. We'll have a lot to engage, because we must take a very clinical review of what was the impact of the 3 for 10 policy, the attrition policy of the public service. That aside, what we were able to do is navigate the public service, using a very skillful approach by the Honorable Prime Minister to bring in the likes of myself and Richard Duncan and others as transition leads to work with the new MPs, ministers, as transition leads for the various ministries, and then for us to come back and serve as advisors in various areas. And some of that work continues. So we would say remarkable in that context.
All right.
In that inherited space, we would say remarkable.
And I do have another question for you as you are along that particular direction. Now, how would you personally rate the National Democratic Congress as the party performance thus far? We talk of the administration part of it. Let's hear of the National Democratic Congress as the party, their performance, the party thus far.
Okay. So, very good. There are 3 areas where we're going to strengthen our performance, but we rate our performance as very good. GT, in 2022 and 2023, we have had some of the largest convention by terms of delegate count and decisions in the history of the party. We have maintained consistently. We had our last general council. The party constitution sets out 2 general councils per year. We were able to manage our convention, our general council, and in fact, as we speak, we have our next general council coming up in August. We have our party convention on 3rd of November. We are able to maintain all our constituency executives. 11 out of 15 continuously elected since 2021, well, continuously elected over time. but we maintain the annual election cycle in 11 out of the 15, and of course, in our 4 major diaspora centers, we've maintained our election cycle consistently since we came into office, and the others we have had interim executive. We have our youth very energized and a lovely rebirth of our youth doing some good work. Our youth has been critical in the support, for example, in St. Andrew Southeast, participating with the St. Andrew Southeast constituency team to do data gathering for the water and sanitation in homes program, for example. And in fact, the youth arm is also part of the, not just the data gathering, but also spearheading, and it's going to be spearheading some of the work associated with the WASH program, for example.
Okay.
So we're very pleased with the work of the party. We've done a first round of constitutional amendments, as I've indicated some months ago. We're coming back with a second round to the broader party membership and so on. We are preparing. All our constituencies are preparing. We've just had a beautiful zonal meeting on the West. We do have these zonal meetings, as I've indicated in a previous appearance, GT. The country is divided into 3 zones. The Eastern Zone, the 4 constituencies in St. Andrew. The Western Zone, the 4 constituencies on the West, and Mark, St. John, St. Patrick, East and West, and Carriacou. And our Southern Zone, comprising the 5 constituencies in St. George's and St. David.
All right.
So we do our zonal meetings every 3 or 4 months where we discuss, and it's only party members. These are zonal meetings for constituency executives, polling division leaders, our field officers, and so on. That is a closed internal party meeting. But what we do is that we use these zonal meetings to review and reflect on the performance of the party, the performance of the government, the relationship between party and government. And that's why I said to you early, GT, I'm going to come back so we could dissect a bit the structures of the party, the structures that give rise to a country's governance.
I hope we can do that in the soonest. Hope we can certainly do that soon.
We'll work it out. Because I really want to dig deeper, because there's so much exciting work that we do. We're going to talk a bit about canvassing how political parties, and this is not just NBC now, on this particular note, political parties are an inextricable link and partner with the parliamentary election system and the parliamentary election office. And that's another conversation we must have.
Okay.
Because the parliamentary elections office cannot finance canvassing and clearing up the voters list. We've been to all the consultations that the parliamentary elections office has had so far. So these are serious conversations we must have, GT. But let's stick with the
We certainly will. We certainly will. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Let's talk about achievements. And, let's hear from you personally. What are the top 10 achievements you will say of the National Democratic Congress government? Tell me what you think are the top 10 achievements.
Let's take the top 10.
Let's go.
I'm going with the first top 5 from the manifesto. GT, when people vote a party into office, they're voting on the basis of a commitment given. Yes, there are several elements of voting for a political organization. The leader, who they expect to become the prime minister, they vote for a team, and they vote for delivery. So we clear the prime minister. He's, from all our anecdotal evidence, he is remarkably admired and respected and appreciated and loved. GT, I have not seen, after 2 years, a prime minister hugged. The capacity for this man's genuineness, where he takes hundreds of photos, people from all walks and stripes and color, reach up to him and embrace him and want to be associated with him, is, I think Maurice Bishop might be the only comparison. The admiration for the leader, his brilliance. GT, we still are enamored, if I might say so, internally in the party, by this gentleman's brain, his intelligence, his developmental ethic, ethos. We have an excellent future ahead of us with the Honorable Deacon Mitchell as Prime Minister and leader of this country. Excellent opportunities, growth and development. We're going to make some very strong impacts. We're going to have some great impacts on the development of this country, on the reduction of poverty, on transformation of sectors and industries. It's a very exciting time ahead with his leadership. And we are the beneficiaries of it because we sit around the table with him twice a month at the party level, at the elected officers meeting and the National Executive Council meeting. But GT, 10 achievements.
Yes, let's hear them.
Let's take the first 5 of the party's manifesto, because it is a manifesto commitment that we have to first report on, and then I'm going to give you 5 additional. The first one, our manifesto, as I said, your production team was not able to put up the page 10 and 11 of our manifesto, so I'm going to go through it as it is before me now. We gave a manifesto commitment, and anybody, it's on our website, you can go and pull it down. It's available on our Facebook page. You can go and pull it down and follow me as I speak. We said to the Grenadian people, we'll pay pension. It's off. In fact, GT, it's the first of the 16 manifesto commitments. The very first of 16 manifesto commitments in terms of the highlights on page 10 and 11 of our manifesto. We started with the first one. An NDC-led government will honor the Constitution and the ruling of the High Court on the payment of pensions. We've done it. We paid off the 75 million, notwithstanding all the fear-mongering and scaremongering that the country going to fall. Well, it hasn't fallen. In fact, it has grown because the multiply effect and the spin-off effect of that 75 million that we paid out in pension and gratuity for the first 425 or so eligible persons has had a significant multiply effect. 2, twice monthly salary payments. That was our second manifesto commitment. And these are manifesto commitments we've delivered in under a year. In under a year. We said we will make twice monthly salary payments, and I think you could talk about many sectors of the economy that have seen a more buoyant spending and turnover because of the twice monthly salary. 3, the big one for me, national minimum wage. GT, I have to pause here for a moment, because at the town hall, I tell you the purpose and the objective of the town hall is a report. At the town hall in St. Andrew, a citizen of this country said that while she is retired, she is so happy for the cooks and other low-income earners who are now at the monthly minimum. Only 2 categories across this country are not yet quite at the 1,200 minimum wage per month, because we do the hourly, daily, and monthly minimum wage. Bakery attendants, assistants, bakery assistants move from 700 to in some instances 900, 950, 1,000, 1,100 a month. And there's one other category. But across the board, we have established a minimum wage that the previous administration refused to address. 13 years, 1995 to 2008. 13 years. We came to office in 2008, and by 2011, we honored the constitutional requirement on minimum wage. We increased minimum wage. When you used to see the amount of nurses and security guards flagging ride on the road, after NDC raised the minimum, I was involved. I remember the contestations from some of the business community. I remember the contestations that the business gonna fall, they're gonna send people home. I remember the minister then, Sister Roberts, she was at her wit's end with the amount of challenges that was being posed to her not to increase the minimum wage. You can't move security from $4.50 to $8. Well, we did. 10 years after the NMP returned, again, they ignore minimum wage, which is supposed to be reviewed every 3 years. On that year, the NDC returned, and again, it is the NDC who moved minimum wage. We increase the minimum wage because you have to at least try and maintain increased incomes to match inflation, the general cost and increase of goods and services. So it is very telling. Who is in defense of the ordinary people? Who is in defense of people raising incomes to improve their lives? It is very telling between the 2 major political parties. Who has your interests? Who defends the public good? Let the public ask. 23 years of NNP rule, no minimum wage. 10 years, 12 years of NDC rule, twice increases minimum wage. So that's why I stopped at 3, because minimum wage matters.
All right. So tell me.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I mean, I asked for 10, and we are a bit strapped for time, eh? So I would ask you, maybe you could not too much details on it, and just give me those 10 those achievements.
Let me go quickly. Free education up to TAMCC. We've done it, and in fact, we want to. The Prime Minister read out the letter. The Prime Minister read out the letter at GT at the town hall in Grenville from Newlow. We said TAMCC no manifesto commitment, but we have covered, the state is covering the tuition cost on Newlow as well. Yeah? Construction of the new modern hospital, we've started by the purchase of the land, 89 acres in Calavini, and we're going to speak about that. So we are on the road with that commitment. We are also on the road with the commitment to the what we have done is in our manifesto commitment number 9. We said restructuring and upgrading the Imani program. We've done it. We said we would do it, and we did it. In fact, we went further. We moved all Imanis to the national minimum wage. So we inherited about 2,900 Imanis in the system. Not a single Imani has been let go. There are those Imanis who had to be re-registered because we were hardly being able to communicate. Some of them for various reasons. So we had to do a rebuild of the registration system of the data gathering and data management. But not a single Imani went home, notwithstanding all the fear and scaring that were attempted. And we have moved them to the national minimum wage, to the great applause of many families and the Imanis themselves. But GT, and I could go on with several other aspects of manifesto commitments. It is amazing that a party in less than 2 years could cover a significant part, 50.5% of its manifesto commitment inside 2 years. Then, of course, we have done one. We settled 2 crucial industrial disputes. This country would have been crippled had the return of the NNP occurred, had the public didn't decide to take back the country. Because in taking back the country, we paid the proverbial elephant in the room challenge that the labor movement had with the dock salaries. We paid it immediately upon taking office. Significant, because we've settled on the industrial climate. And then, of course, we've paid $10.5 million retroactively for TAMCC workers. Our students in TAMCC, that's the only tertiary institution. It was in free fall because of prolonged and protracted industrial disputes. We've settled those. Yeah?
All right.
GT, we have done one of the most significant and not often heard. So I probably crossed 10 already, but I must give you this one. It is often not discussed, and I suspect that is one of the areas of the party. And let me start the party work here, because you ask about what the party achievement is. One of the things that we need to do is speak more about the positive impact of some of our policies and decisions. So, for example, what did we do? GT, we reduced the petrol tax from $5.50. Just imagine, we inherited a petrol tax of $5.50 per gallon at the pump. $5.50 per gallon. We reduced it to $3.50, taking off $2 per gallon. So on average, GT, if you drive in an SUV and your average is 12 gallons on the tank, you saving $24 every time you go to the pump. You saving $24 because of the direct impact and intervention of a government policy to reduce the petrol tax. We don't talk about this significant achievement enough. So we're going to start to talk about it today.
All right.
What does that mean? GT, every single sector of the economy has had a boost, an economic boost, and a major saving. Let me just give you 3 critical sectors that are tremendous beneficiaries of this reduction in the petrol tax. Every citizen of the country who owns a vehicle, every vehicle owner So you GT, you saving on average your vehicle, you spend $12. You fill up 12 gallons.
Yes.
You fill up, let's say, twice a week, based on because you are. I was reading your profile this morning. Didn't realize you're such a high class, high quality.
Don't spread the word that much yet. Let's.
I didn't. I mean, I was quite taken aback by your skills and competencies. Quite taken up. Impressive, sir. Impressive. So having gone through that, I said to myself, okay, so GT probably filling up his vehicle twice a week. You saving $48 on average, $50 a week, GT. You are saving $200 a month by virtue of the government's reduction in the petrol tax. $200 a month by 12 months in a year. You saving $2,400, $2,400 in savings. GT, that is the equivalent of half the salary of an assistant who you might be paying $1,200 or $1,500 a month.
Mr. Barry, I know you could go on a whole lot this morning, but you know we strapped for time, and that's what we need to should have had you for the entire hour on the show. But let me ask you this question. No, on the party side of things, what is next for the NDC convention, General Council? Tell me about that.
Okay, well, I did mention earlier, we do have our General Council coming up in August. Our last one is November. And we'll have a special convention on consolidating amendments of the Constitution. And then our next party convention is going to be on the 3rd of November at the Happy Hill Secondary School. Our next General Council and Special Convention is going to be at the Wester Hall Secondary School, August 24th and November 3rd convention, respectively. Give and take some of the dynamics international, as Aaron Moses was saying earlier. The international dynamics sometimes cause the leader have to jump in. One of the fascinating things about this leader, we've had great leaders, and we stand on the shoulders of the great leaders of the NDC, Sir Nicholas Rapid, Sir George Brizan, and some of the great team members, Francis Alexis et al., some of the great founders, Crawford Best et al., and of course our greatest servant leader, for me at least, and for many of us in the NDC, the Honorable Tillman Thomas. However, one of the hallmarks of this new leader is his very involved, detailed participation, presence, thought leadership on the party's role, on the party's development. Very good, detailed involvement and engagement with the work of the party. He leads several, I don't know, he's an extraordinarily gifted and talented person in terms of time management, and his professional, he carries a very professional aura. Some of his body politics is what we carry. I mean, a lot of us will learn more as we go on, but his body politics has given the party greater confidentiality, trust in each other. We build better camaraderie because he sets the tone. Yeah, GT, there are the non-verbal and the verbal leadership cues. Body politic matters in organization. Setting the tone from the top. He carries a lot of that acumen as a leader, and that's part of what we are grateful for about the leadership he has brought to the team. So GT, that's a couple of dates ahead, but if the international and regional dynamics, and of course you're coming right at the heels of the next budget cycle, and of course ministries and departments of government are already beginning to prepare a review at the halfway point of the 2024 budget, and of course preparation for the next cycle of the budget is coming up. So there are going to be a lot of consultations around the different government departments and public consultations that are rolling out. From right after Carnival, you will see a set of public consultations on the 2025 budget coming around, and we're going to be building that effort around some of the important activities of the party as well. So GT, our town halls continue tonight. Tune in, for those of you not in Carriacou, tune in to our town hall tonight in the Sister Isle. Then we come back to Boca Secondary on Monday, the 24th. We have a beautiful family fun day, grand second anniversary family fun day at 4 Plainfield. It's spelled F-O-N-D fund. Yeah, it is pronounced by the locals as 4. So everybody knows 4 Plainfield in the historic Strong City, historic parish of St. Patrick's Strong City. There are more crowns across Calypso and Soca.
All right, Mr. Barry, let me ask you this question, because we're a bit strapped for time, and I wish I had you for the entire with the amount of questions that I wanted to throw at you this morning.
I'll be back in shorter order.
No, this question I want to ask you. Why are you here as a political activist and of course, and not as a government official? Now, if you listen to my question carefully, there, of course, there's to speak about, what should government activities. You came to speak about government activities and you were more of a political activist and not a government official, if you're getting my question right. Now, on the town hall meetings, NDC town hall meetings, I want to get that impression from you. We asked this question because people attending are in full NDC party, regalia, per se. And what are the, of course, who's not a member of government is there. Government time is to speak on government activities. I'm just asking that particular question. I'm sure if you could answer me. I know you will be able to answer me that.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so in my capacity as General Secretary of the party, I do play my role with respect to previously as a transition leader, as I explained earlier. And what we are discussing here is a combination of the work of the party and the party supporting the work of the government. So it is unmistakable. It is unmistakable that I'm wearing my 50th anniversary pin. I'm wearing my national, my Grenada flag pin and our party pin.
Totally decked off.
Sorry?
I say you're totally decked off this morning.
Yes, it's never, it must be unmistakable. And in fact, GT, I remember in one of my earlier appearances, you said, Barry, in fact, today, in this very dialogue we're having here, one of the first things you asked, what is the party doing? One of the most important things the party does is support the government.
All right.
And this is an important forum where the party expresses its own work and the work that it supports its own NDC-led administration.
So, Barry, I know, but we strap for time. Producers are on my back, so here what?
Yes.
Let me get some closing contribution from you this morning, and I certainly would like to have you back. I feel you have to speak and be here probably next Wednesday. You'll be back here, so we have the entire hour.
I'm sorry. It wouldn't be next Wednesday. We do have a schedule already. But let me just say this. We are very pleased. GT, our party must speak to our manifesto commitment. We made an undertaking. We gave an undertaking to the country. Our manifesto commitments must be presented and defended by the party. We said to the public, vote this party in the government, and we will deliver the following. My presence this morning is to recommit that the delivery we gave, the commitments we gave, we are delivering on those commitments. As a party that came before the public and asked for your vote, we return as a party to say thank you for the trust you provide, you place in us to lead the government. This is what the party's role continues to be, and this is what the party supports what the government is doing. We, the NDC, have taken responsibility for the leadership and management of the country. And I think in fact, you did an informal poll a couple of months ago, and I think you yourself may have been a little impressed. I don't know if you were significantly impressed by the 4.5 out of 5 average ratings by many of your GBN callers. So GT, we are happy after 2 years. We've been able to deliver 6 significant parts of our manifesto commitments out of the, and in progress with another 3 or 4. We have a couple of new areas to take hold of. We're starting to roll out, the Prime Minister beautifully roll out our plan for the Project 500 Grenadian style homes based on various models. We started with the 18 or so acres up at Dunfermline. 8 or 8 of the various contractors are going to be putting down models, and we'll all have a chance to go and engage in the site and the sturdiness and the hurricane resilience of some of these homes, and then we're going to spread them around the country. We gave that manifesto commitment. We're starting to undertake the Project 500 commitment as well. We're going to do some free wireless internet access nationwide. We're going to come back to that. Restructuring, the empowering local constituencies and parishes. We're going to come back to that. Securing social safety nets. Of course, we've done a little bit of modification with the social safety nets. GT, the social housing program now, it has been moved to 24,000 from the 17,000. We're going to include concrete as opposed to just board and so on. So everything we've said in our manifesto commitment, we didn't come to the Grenadian people as a government, GT. We came as a party. We didn't call on the public to vote for a government. We call on the party, we call on the public to vote for the NDC to lead the government. So we're returning today to say we gave you these commitments. Here is how we're doing with them.
All right. Mr. Barry, I want to thank you a whole lot for being on the program this morning. It's always a pleasure having a conversation with you. It's always enlightening to converse with you, and the pleasure was certainly mine talking to you this morning. Best wishes
as well. Next time we give time for calls because there are a number of persons.
I know. My phones will be going off
meetings after these presentations. So I know my phone is.
Well, we are a bit strapped for time for today, so apology for callers. We're not able to entertain them this morning. So once again, Mr. Barry, thank you 1,000,000% for being with us this morning. And as you said, hope you get on the schedule. You could do some tweaking of the schedule and have you back in the soonest time as possible.
Okay.
All right.
We'll discuss it. Yeah.
All right. Have a good one, sir. Thank you once again.
Great.
All right. Hey, folks, that's how we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point this morning. A bit of an extended version. We thank you of those of you who sat at home and you listen, and of course you absorb a whole lot of information that we threw out this morning. Best wishes goes out to everyone. That's what we say goodbye.